All right. So in this video, I wanted to address getting negative or sometimes hateful comments. And how do you deal with that when you are either building a business or maybe you're publishing videos on YouTube? How do you not let that affect you? And how do you respond to those comments? And actually, are they beneficial? Are they actually helping you? That's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. So, Chris, why don't we first off discuss that when you are getting started and you are getting a negative comment, how that can derail the whole thing?
Well, I think before we even get into that, it really comes down to, are you going to get negative comments? And the answer is yes. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. That is going to be part of the game. And one thing, Scott, one lesson every entrepreneur has to learn, no matter whether they're starting a YouTube channel, a website, an Etsy shop, an Amazon store, whatever, is that you cannot be for everyone. And you can either let the negativity bring you down, you can ignore it, or you can embrace it and turn some of those haters, if you will, into fans. And I think we tend to fall into the later part of that, but there are some comments and some interactions that are just not worth saving. And we wanted to dive into a few of those and chat through a handful of those today.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be sharing with you guys some of those comments. So you guys can see actually how we would react to this. We are trying to make light of it, but also to where those comments actually help us. And that's why us commenting back on those also can help us because, well, it shows interaction, it shows engagement. So in actuality, those comments are actually helping us. So just a little side note there for you. But Chris, I thought we would have a little fun here today. And I thought that we would actually read these and see how we would respond to these and kind of let people see a little bit behind the scenes as far as what we see, some of those comments, and then how do we keep going when we have people that are just, kind of making us feel bad about ourselves.
And we'll start with this one. This one is actually a brand new comment for us. This came in on a live stream we were doing recently and says, I came here just to comment that I will never, ever, as long as I live, click and watch any video with a thumbnail of a person with that stupid looking O face. Stop it. It looks ridiculous. And Scott, this I think is a good example of a comment that we can just kind of laugh at a little bit. The ones, and there's a handful of these in here that really get to you, are the ones that really have a grain of truth to them. And there are a few of those in here as well. But this one to me is just funny. One, because our buddy Jeff here came and clicked on the video to leave this comment, which is actually helpful to us. But two, because the reason that we're making silly faces or doing silly things on thumbnails is because the data tells us that that works. It's not going to work for everybody for everything. But when you saw this, Scott, what was your initial reaction and how did this make you feel? How did you deal with this as a negative comment?
Well, let me say that years ago, it probably would have affected me more than it does now because I've gotten thicker skin. I've also realized that if someone is leaving a negative comment, number one, they're probably just not happy in their own life. So I kind of feel bad for them. I've kind of reversed the way that I used to treat it, right? Before I was just kind of mad at the person or upset that they would say such a thing. I also look at it as someone felt that they needed to let you know because it makes them feel better about themselves. And I kind of give them that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I see if it does have some truth to it. And if something had truth to it, then I would be like, okay, you know what? I need to reevaluate a little bit, right? Maybe I need to think about how I'm doing a certain thing, right? But the other thing is that a lot of times it's just that person is not the person for you. The other thing is if you're getting that type of attention, it means that you're getting attention. And that's a good thing, right? If you're getting people to comment on your videos, that means that people are actually seeing your video or seeing your thumbnail in this case. So he had said, I clicked in here to leave a comment just to let you know that I would never watch one of your videos. And I'm like, Jeff, I appreciate that. And you know what else, Jeff? You're not invited to the party. You're not invited to my barbecue. And I've always used this as an example. I always like to look at it like when I'm online and I'm doing videos or content and I'm trying to help people, if someone is going to be rude or someone doesn't gel with me, that's okay, right? There's a party over there for you and the party is happening over here for me. and the friends that I have or the people that I'm helping online and all of that stuff. So that's kind of how I look at it. And I appreciate that because if, we were here in person, Jeff and I probably wouldn't be hanging out with each other. It's just the way it is. You know how it is. Like there's some people you just didn't hang out with in high school. It's the same thing here. So I appreciate that comment. And I appreciate the comment because it also gave us engagement on that video, and that actually helps the algorithm. So thank you.
And there's nothing wrong with not wanting everybody to come to the party. That's part of this. You're not going to resonate with everybody all of the time, but you do have to go through this process and start to inoculate yourself against this. Because Scott, like you were saying, one of the things that can happen here is you get a comment like that and you immediately start thinking, well, I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to make Jeff angry, or I don't want to disappoint Jeff. So I'm going to totally change the way that I do my thumbnails, or I'm going to change the way that I create my content based off of this one comment. You'd be surprised how often that happens. And really, at the end of the day, what we need to be focused on is what the numbers are telling us. And if we're getting better click-through rates with silly thumbnails versus super serious Scott face type thumbnails, then that's something that we have to take into consideration as well. We have to look at the comments that are coming in and the data. And so, Scott, this is the next one that I wanted to address here. This was not that long of a video. I believe this was 12 or 13 minutes long. And this comment said, all this song and dance so you can tell me he has a YouTube channel and he's getting traffic through it. You could have just said that at the very beginning of the video and saved me time. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, someone being totally direct and saying like, hey, just come on the video and say, this guy's got a YouTube channel and he is making money with it. And that's all you need to know. Bye-bye. There was way more that I went into in this video where I broke down the YouTube channel. I broke down the revenue sources. I gave my advice on how you're building an audience, how you're leveraging that audience, and how you're monetizing, how you're getting traffic, and all of those things. So I showed more than just the one line answer. And so again, the person that wants that short, little, right to the point, probably not the person for my audience, or that's in my audience, not the one that I'm technically attracting. Now, are you going to be visible to these people? Yes. My thing is I'm attracting the right people and I'm repelling the wrong people. It appears that might be one of the wrong people. Like, just saying, it might be. But yeah, it didn't bother me.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Moving on to that next comment there, Scott, this is kind of the exact opposite, right? In this case, you did a video, and I believe this actually came from a live stream that we did, if this is the video that I'm thinking about. And this comment says, can we stop putting a clip from the middle at the beginning of the video? It's really annoying. Well, the reason that this happens a lot of the time, and the reason that we do this, especially on a longer video, is that's a big nugget. And if you only want to stay for 30 seconds or a minute, we want you to be able to get that takeaway. The other thing that doing this does is it helps to hook people who are kind of on the fence about whether they want to stay or not, especially if it's coming around from a longer clip, right? We're going to be rambling for a little bit at the beginning. It's not going to be as punchy as a standard recorded video would be. So we're going to bring in something that's going to hook your attention long enough to allow you to sit through the first minute of the video where we're explaining what's going to happen before we explain it to you. That helps you get that nugget up front. And it's kind of the exact opposite of the last comment that we were talking about. And it's one of the reasons, Scott, that being so focused on the individual comments can be such a problem, because if you're taking the advice of the first person, you're then putting that up front. They're then leaving. And then you go, okay, well, now they hate me for giving them the nugget up front, right? So we can't let ourselves get too bogged down with those kinds of things. This
Chris,
one,
go back to that comment real quick, because I do want to address. I do want to address that. So again, like, so what this person was saying was like, listen, like, stop doing this thing, right? Like, just stop, taking a clip from a live and putting it in there. But the whole point of that, in doing that, was there's going to be people that are not going to watch an hour and 40-minute video to find that one piece that would help them. So what we've done is we'll find a good clip that has good value, and we will take that and put it into a video that is more digestible for that person, that can sit through a 5-minute or a 7-minute video or even a 10-minute video. I mean, we've seen Joe Rogan doing this. He's got a whole clips channel. He's got 2-hour, 3-hour, videos, and he'll take clips. I watch some of those clips because I don't want to watch 3 hours. I want to watch the one clip where Howard Stern talks about this one thing, right? Like, and I don't know why I just came up with that. It's just random. But it's like, when I see that, it makes me say, okay, I can spare 5 minutes. I can spare 7 minutes. I really want to see this. I really want to know about this. So that's the point in it. So again, you're not going to make everyone happy. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And that's okay, because you can try, you're never going to do it, but you're going to please the people that really matter and that become your core audience. So yeah. Anyway, move on to the next one, Chris.
So this is a big one, and this is one that hit a little closer to home because there is a grain of truth to it, right? It says, so annoying when Chris says, right? I literally just did that on every sentence that he makes. And Scott, I know you do this as well too. He doesn't have to say right a gazillion times whenever he opens his mouth. One thing is, why do you have 57,000 subscribers, which is a while ago? Last time I listened to you was in 2015, and the reason I was annoyed by right that both of you utter every time you talk. I guess both of you turn off people because of this. It happened in my case, and therefore I can attest that people didn't listen to both of you.
This guy's
I was
mad.
directed to your vlog days ago by YouTube when I searched for how to make money with AI. Interesting. I did not seek you out, as I already had forgotten that you existed. You got a lot of useful information, but stop saying right every time you end your statement, right? You're driving me crazy, not listening to you anymore. Checked you out and your annoying friend, or checked out on you and your annoying friend. So Scott and I both do this. This is one of
Are you my annoying friend, or are you my annoying friend?
I think we're both each other's annoying friend because we both do this, right?
Right.
And this is an example of something, there is a grain of truth to this. It's something you and I do live. And the reason that we do it is not because we don't know how to speak the English language. And if you watch recorded videos, Scott does this a lot less. I do this a lot less in a recorded environment. But when you are rambling on, and there's another one here, as we're doing this in a live environment, it's difficult to understand if something makes sense or if anybody is following along with you. And so we kind of both do this when we're in a live environment much more frequently than in a recorded environment, because we can get feedback from each other when we're doing it. I understand that it can be annoying, but there is actually a reason for it.
Right.
Right?
Let's just say it a bunch of times so that way there we annoy him or her. I don't know what it was, but anyway, we wouldn't want to do that. Right, Chris?
Right.
Right. Moving on.
Right, so I really appreciate that it's free content. You invested all the time and energy to develop the content. However, please either get to the point or at least provide markers so that I can skip to the necessary parts. Thanks so much for the info. Much appreciated. This man never stops talking. That's really the reason that I wanted to share this, right?
But wait a minute.
Drive that.
Let me just say, okay, so that first comment, I don't look at that as a negative. I look at that as like him saying, or her saying, you know what? The video is very long. I would like timestamps. And you know what? I agree. We need to put timestamps in those longer forms. So that's where now I take that and I go, you know what? That's a great point. We're going to do that because it's going to make life a lot easier for the person that wants to go through and skip with the timestamps. So that, again, that's something that we should be doing, and we probably will. The comment down below that said we just talk too damn much is just hysterical, and you got to laugh at it. And I don't know, Chris, did I comment on that one? Because sometimes I'll comment and I'll go, thanks so much for letting us know. Like I will say something like that just to keep that engagement going.
I didn't see a reply to that one, or
I need to reply to
that thread that I copied and pasted. But it's one of those things where it's partially negative, and if you're viewing this through a negative light, you're saying, "Oh, I'm just annoying people." But realistically, it is a helpful thing. Now, the beautiful thing about something like the YouTube ecosystem is that in a lot of cases, people will do the timestamping for us right in the very first comment, so we don't even have to do it. But if you're only looking at this through the negative lens, you do miss out on the helpful pieces of things that are contained within what could be considered to be a negative comment. And that's the reason I wanted to show that one as well. Scott, this is a video where you talked about niching down on Etsy. And this is a comment that I wanted to share with you because it was the exact opposite of the advice that you gave in the video. It says, this is probably some of the worst advice I've ever heard. You want to target products with low competition and high demand, aka a high number of sales. Targeting products with low competition and low sales means no one is looking to buy the product. You have to actually look at what is selling and not just what people are viewing.
Well, obviously didn't watch the entire video or didn't hear what I was saying, but yes, low competition and high demand is what anyone would want. But what we're talking about is, what is your demand? So like everyone's demand is different, right? Like someone's going to be happy with 1 sale a day. That's good high demand for them. Another person's going to be like 10 sales a day, 20 sales a day. So to me, the whole point in that was, hey, go after products that don't get crazy numbers because everyone else is going after the ones that get crazy numbers. So start off small, graduate to that. You might have missed that part. Kind of seems like you did.
I like what Sarah is going for there, but really what
Oh,
she's
it's Sarah.
talking
I'm
about,
sorry, I missed it.
I think it
thought
was
was
Sarah
FD.
something.
Okay, sorry.
What they are going for there is
Why am I
a
apologizing?
unicorn product. I almost said right. Is
Right?
a unicorn product. The ideal world would have 0 people fulfilling the demand and thousands of units a day being sold. But that's not realistic. So the strategy that's outlined in that video is talking about how to find lower competition products that still help you meet your numbers. So it really depends on what you're talking about in terms of demand. But realistically, yes, that comment is technically correct. Should you be buying low competition products with tons of demand? Absolutely. But is that realistic to find in the real world? Not so much. And that's why we give the advice that we give and talk about finding your number and some of those kinds of things. And so it's funny a lot of times to see, Scott, that people clearly haven't watched the entire video or just didn't understand it. And that a lot of the negative comments that we get come from people misunderstanding something that was said or combining things from 2 or 3 different videos that we've put out and thinking that they work together when they're not related in any way.
Or they just want to say that how annoying we are because we ramble too much. Or you say
that's a
right
valid
too
point.
What else we got?
All right, you give a lot of good advice, but could you speak in a normal manner and voice? This now makes me feel self-conscious, like I'm yelling. After some minutes, I have to stop it because I'm here to learn. I'm not at a football match. It would be much better without your veins popping out. Thank you. So this is a little bit of a personal attack against you and your veiny neck, I guess, and also on your volume. So what is your overall reaction to something like this?
You know, I think it's funny because I think the person is right. I do get excited and I do raise my voice. And when I raise my voice, for some reason, I do have some veins in my neck that tend to. I mean, I could just be talking like this and I'm going to have veins that are in my neck. It's just the way that I'm built. And if I took my shirt off, which I won't, I have a very veiny chest. I have since I was a kid. So I could take that personal. You're trying to say that I don't look good and I have bad veins in my neck. Like I could take it that way too, right? I'm not going to do that. But I understand that someone that doesn't like high energy is going to not like my style. And guess what? That's perfect because I do not want to pertain to everyone. I mean, I would love it, but we know that we live in a world that not everyone is going to learn the same from everyone else. No one's going to resonate with someone else. If someone didn't like the way that I speak or the way that I pronounce words or my tone, we're probably not going to hang out. And that's okay. Right. But I'm not going to change the way that I am. I mean, if you guys showed up at a party and Scott's talking to people about something that he's excited about, you're going to hear this right here. You're going to hear this tone. I'm not saying it because I'm yelling. I'm saying it because I'm excited. And that's just how I talk. If I was to go something along the lines of like, guys, there's something I found that's really, really awesome. And I can't wait to share it with you guys today. It's going to be really cool. If you do this, you could probably make some money. And I don't know if you want to leave your job, you might be able to do that. It'd be really cool if you did. So let me show you step number 1. I can't even do that. It hurts me to do that. Like I can't, Chris. Like that's painful for me.
I think the thing that's funny about this is one of the compliments that I hear about you all of the time, and I guess it's a compliment, and we heard this a lot when we were together at Seller Summit, is you are exactly the same person in person as you are on the podcast or in a YouTube video. It's just your personality. And we know that that's not going to resonate with everybody. And so we can't let that affect us or let that change who we are or what we're doing. And that, Scott, leads me directly into the next thing that I have here. Is, I love your videos, but I hate the examples that you use is essentially what this is. Like, I have a personal problem with the examples that you use. And so I'm not going to watch your stuff until you stop doing that.
So I know, again, here we are again. Like you can't appease everyone. Now, that's not my feelings and it's not my belief. And I'm not going to look down on someone that hunts and someone that catches fish or someone that does certain things. I'm not going to look down on that person and I'm not going to be upset. it just might not be my thing or my belief. Same thing goes with religion and politics and all of those other things, right? But I'm using it as an example so someone can understand by looking through the lens as I am for this particular situation. That's all it's meant for. It's not meant for Scott's an advocate for going out there and slaying animals and, catching fish and not throwing them back or even hooking them and putting a hook in their thing. Like, I'm not saying that I'm for or against it. I'm using it as an example. So I think that person might just not like the way that I give examples. And again, I might not be the right teacher for that person. And that's okay. I think we can part as friends and I'm not offended, but I'm not going to stop giving. Like, I think that one there is not that bad to give as an example. So I'm not going to change the way that I give examples because one person right now said in a comment that they don't like that I'm using hunting or fishing as an example.
The next one, Scott, and this is a great one. We get a ton of these because of the way that you and I've noticed that I pronounce this word both ways depending on who I'm talking to. If I hear it one way, I'll say it that way with that person. But it has to do with our favorite word, niche, or nicho, right? Depending on which language you're speaking. And we get a lot of comments on a lot of videos about the right way to say niche or niche or nicho. So what are your thoughts on this? What has your response been to this? And how does this make you feel when you see these comments?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I at first thought I was saying it wrong. And to a lot of people, it is saying it wrong. But to other people that think niche is right, niche is wrong. So I've just come to the realization that no one's going to agree on this. And I don't think it really matters. And if it matters that much to someone that they can't listen to you anymore because you're saying niche and not niche or niche and not niche, to me, it's, again, that's one of those things. It's like, really? Like, you have to leave the room because I'm saying it that way and your ears bleed? Probably not the right person for us in our audience. Like, probably not, right? Like, I wouldn't care if you said it wrong and I said it a different way or whatever. I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to leave. My ears are going to bleed. I got to go. I can't hear that. You're butchering that word. Just not my person. Sorry. Right. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a backstory on that, or a little bit of investigative work that I did, I actually looked it up, and there is no right or wrong. And actually, the way that I understood it started at niche and then it went to niche. And now it's the French that call it niche. And so everyone else now calls it niche. That is from there. But I'm not going to get into all the.
It's originally a French word, and in the early 1900s, they went back through a bunch of English words that came from French and made it more of a French pronunciation. But if you look at any dictionary, at least any American dictionary, it is pronounced either way and either is acceptable. It really just depends on where you're from. But then you have something like Spanish, Scott, who say it more like the way that you and I say it. So is it wrong for a Spanish-speaking person to say it the way that a Spanish person would say it, where you have actual ways that words are said? The answer is no. That's just how Spanish people say it. So if you let something like this get to you, it's going to drive you nuts. And when you and I see this, we now make a joke out of it because it's been such a common thing on the channel. And I compare this to writing the word color, right? Americans don't use a U. Canadians, Brits, English people, right? Australians, they spell color with a U. I personally think that's a very silly way of spelling the word, but I understand that different people write and speak things differently. So I'm never going to call somebody out for using a U in color. That's just silly. I still understand the word. I understand what you're trying to say. And if you let something like that get to you, you're going to see it over and over and over again, and it's going to drive you up a wall faster than you can ever imagine.
Yeah. Got another one?
Yes. So this is similar to the last one. And this is making me a little self-conscious because I feel like I'm screaming, but we had a bunch of people saying, I wear headphones when listening to your videos and your sound effects are way too loud. Why are you yelling? It's so difficult to concentrate. And then my favorite one, we're actually covering up a little bit here. So let me see if I can pull this up. Sadly, Etsy has gotten ridiculous. Why do you have to yell in all your videos? You have a huge mic anyway.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So after I saw some of these comments, I asked my wife, I go, am I yelling? And she's like, no, you're just the way you are. It's normal. It's like, I don't think you're yelling. And so now, to say that I'm not a little self-conscious, I'd be lying, because now I'm like, should I tone it down? And then I'm like, you know what? No, that's who you are. That's how you talk. Why are you going to tone it down for 4 other people that said it in comments? And so, no, I'm not going to change the way that I'm presenting. But I did there for a split second say, am I yelling? And I even asked you, I go, do you think I'm yelling? And you're like, no. And you're just excited. And a lot of people say that they love the energy because it gets them excited and it gets them to want to go and do whatever. Right. So, I'm not going to change. But I do appreciate all those comments for taking the time out of your day to let me know that you feel like I'm yelling. I appreciate that. And I
I
do
think
have a big mic, so I got to talk even louder because it's a big mic. Just because it's a big mic doesn't mean it's louder, by the way.
there's a very easy solution to that problem, and it's a high quality problem to have. There's a volume down
Volume,
button
yeah.
that can help you with that. And I think what people often confuse with yelling is energy, right? And I think you and I both have a lot of energy. By the way, I just said right. We both have a lot of energy, and that comes off, especially when you have a deeper voice, as yelling. My voice carries. My whisper sounds like normal people talking. And so, especially if I'm talking about something that I'm excited about, that I'm passionate about, that comes out. I also talk a lot with my hands, in case you haven't noticed. That's just part of who I am. And if you let things like that drag you down, you're missing the point of the beauty of the YouTube ecosystem to begin with. YouTube gives you the opportunity to be who you are. Anything where you are creating content gives you the ability to be you. You cannot focus on the 1 or 2 people who are saying you are talking too loud, right? They can adjust their volume. The same thing if your videos are always kind of quiet. Well, that's a harder problem to solve. You have to hit the opposite button, which is turn the volume up. But I would rather be too loud than too quiet because everybody can turn their volume down just a little bit versus being too quiet where somebody might miss something and they're trying to hammer the volume up button to make sure
Right.
that you're getting everything.
Yeah.
If you just focus on who you are, even if you are a quieter person, there's ways for people to resolve that. And it's 2 buttons. And they're on every device. It's volume up and volume down. And if you are comfortable with the way that your content is, if it's portraying you, your personality, and your energy, that's the way to go. You can't worry about what other people are thinking about the things that you are doing.
Yeah, awesome. So, guys, hopefully this has helped you if you have battled some negative comments and you've experienced them. And if you haven't, you probably will. If you are going to be creating an audience online, if you're going to be using YouTube, you're going to create people that are going to watch your videos, an audience. You're going to create that audience and they are going to let you know. And some of them will be brutal. So it will take some time to maybe get a little bit of thicker skin. And then once you do, you can show up as you. And I think that's the important thing here. And the big lesson I want you guys to really learn, but also embrace you, embrace who you are, because no one, not even AI, will be able to replace you as of right now. And that's a good thing. So feel good about who you are and show up, be real. People are they're going to be attracted to the real, right? The realism of you. And us sharing these negative, hateful at times comments is really there to show that we are open and that we are transparent. And hopefully it's going to help you get out of that shell a little bit and get out there and start building your own audience so you can build a brand or even a micro brand on YouTube. And actually, if you are interested in hearing Chris and I talk more about how to do that, you can watch this video right here, which I'm going to put up on the screen here, where you can see him and I talking about building a micro brand and using YouTube. Watch that video next, and we'll see you there.